was your vote of approval?
Yeah, well, we could go back and
He kept saying, change this, change that, change this. That's what it means I finally got it right.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Racing bid.
Chris? Wait, I didn't get an agenda on this. Yeah.
Good morning, how are you?
How are you?
Very good. How's retirement? I thought your son was running it.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been going like
Stratford?
20 years, but I can't sell it.
That's it.
He's gonna be a manager, he's gonna eventually take it.
Okay. Yeah. So I was under the impression it was.
All right, Jody, can you lead us off with the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Yeah.
To the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, paddle boat, paddle battle. Mr. Doolick or Mr. Dreeben, what gives?
Thank you for the opportunity today to present to the
Wow.
On the desk are a couple flyers for Paddle Battle. It is a stand-up paddleboard, which is the hottest sport out there right now, and canoe and kayak. It's a race on our beautiful Peconic River, proposed July 20th, 2013. We plan on having racing, music, vendor expo, surf shops and stuff, some stand-up paddleboard demos, and then actually giving away a stand-up paddleboard as a raffle. The mission is to raise money to support the Riverhead Foundation, which you all aware is our rescue center here locally, and also for the East End Tourism Alliance, both not-for-profit organizations. We have a 12-mile race for the 20-foot kayaks.
12 miles in a kayak, not standing on the...
Correct. Those are kayaks. Those are competitive kayaks. They're 18 to 20 foot. Then we have a competitive course for racers, which is a 5-mile canoe and kayak and a stand-up paddleboard. And then we have a recreational race, 2.5 miles.
That's what I'm going.
2.5 miles is actually from the town dock area, floating docks, out to Colonel's Island, which is 1.25 miles, and then back. So that's one lap. And that's a fun race. And then we'll have a recreational race where you can do mixed doubles, father, son, mother, daughter, friends, whatever. So we have a couple fun races planned. We're doing it in July. The future would really be for a spring and fall event, and potentially even become a 2-day event. Some racers up in Clinton and South Carolina, they're full weekends, they're big tours, there's big attractions, they bring people from all over. So wanted to get on the schedule early here because we wanted to get it promoted early, wanted to get sponsors on board.
Before you, I know you have this July 20th date here, but we got to check to make sure there's nothing else, because there's a lot of stuff going on downtown.
The bid, there's nothing conflicting with the bid. I met with Ray Peterskill.
The bid, what about all the other events that are downtown? I mean, I just want to make sure that, because I think you're going to have to file a Chapter 90 application to the town.
We did already.
I want to make sure that there's nothing else
Yeah.
in there.
Clerk has a calendar, so she
We
can check that.
we filed the Chapter 90. I checked with the bid, the regular triathlon race, the hardwood boat race, all those things are in June.
Okay.
So this was a good date for the most part. I have to check it down. I put an application in also with the Coast Guard up in Connecticut, just to be on the waters. And I guess if the Chapter 90 is approved, then we can go out there and aggressively promote this and direct the traffic to downtown Riverhead.
Sounds good to me.
Very good. So we're going to build a website too for this, but Google Earth, which is very cool, brings you in right to Riverhead, and it outlines from where you unload to where you drop off, where the check-in is, and it brings you the whole course race.
Okay.
So this will be on the website too. So our first time out, Jim, obviously been in the business, I don't know how many years, forever. And it's been very helpful, 'cause I don't know the size of the boats and the classes and so forth, and Jim's been instrumental, and he's partnered with me on this, and again, all profits going to the Rescue Center and the Tourism Alliance. And I think we're going to have a great race and hopefully continue it for years to come.
Can I ask you a question?
I think my batteries, I need more batteries.
I go to Greenfield Park and I see these people standing up on these paddle boards.
How do they do it? Is that the question?
Well,
That's my question.
The question is, because the days I've been there, I've seen 5, 6, 7 people doing this. Do you have a lot of rentals for this?
A lot.
Because it seems like every time I go to the Greenfield Park,
Well, I try to put them in across the street, but it's really only going out back.
yeah, of course, that's why I've been seeing them going in out back and up the river. And they stay in that little area sometimes, you know,
Yeah, they go to the roof by the library. and back.
yes.
I see the date on here, I don't see it expiring.
It's on the application.
Oh, okay.
The time will be posted on the website. A lot has to do with how many boats register,
Okay.
how many people register, because if it's a small race, you know, then we can start a little bit later. If it's a big race, then we're gonna start earlier.
I think it's doing very good.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and it's great because it benefits the foundation, and the foundation takes these rescues, seals, turtles, and then they release them. I mean, we were at a release for Arizona when she was put under the Hampton Bays Bridge, and my kids are still tracking her because they put a tracking device on the seal, and then you see where the seal is in the country. So it's
I think
incredible,
it
yeah.
brings great awareness to what the foundation does.
Absolutely.
You know, they're, you know, not to downplay, they're a bunch of great biologists, but they're not marketers. And, you know, they're the only New York State authorized facility, and, you know,
Yeah, well, they go all over Long Island,
they go all over New York.
all over New York.
Quite frankly, at this juncture, we have the largest cetacean holding tank in the Northeast. So there was just a porpoise that was sick up in New England, and he's in our facility.
Wow.
So, you know, from Virginia on up to Maine, they come to us for care for certain animals.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you go to any of those beach whales? Did they send people to?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is our team there, you know, euthanizing and making decisions on what to do. Of course, we have beach stuff, it's not what you can do.
Given what you said, they're not marketers, but they should have somebody putting this out, because the public don't even realize
Right.
what they do.
Yeah. So we have a little area inside the aquarium, but, so I think this is another thing to help bring some
Good.
awareness, but.
Can you just double check with Tracy on the date? That's all. I know we've been
Tracy-
stepping on people,
Tracy-
their town board coordinator.
Okay.
Just
And this is exciting because you said you're going to be reaching out to other parts of the country to try and get people into Riverhead from North
I am.
Carolina, and I know that you're working very diligently on the transportation hub at MacArthur Airport for people to come into MacArthur and then be able to go for agritourism and for all these types of events that you're proposing.
Yeah.
So it'll help out MacArthur Airport and it'll help our East End tourism. So
We're in the
thank you for
early
that.
stages with the airport to actually put a tank in the airport.
cool.
Tank fish, and then potentially looking at some retail space there too, to end with all the East End products in there, with wines, the vodkas, and the East End honey and lavender, and put all the products in the retail store in the airport. So that's
And the
where the
brochures to
East End
bring them
Tourism
out.
Alliance.
Yes.
So that's what we're.
Jim, you got
Very
decades of knowledge.
Oh yeah, that's
So
what
you
you know.
stand up on the
That's it.
paddleboard?
Yeah.
I do it all the time,
Yeah.
every day. But I did the route that we're gonna race, I've done it numerous times.
Right.
I've never James Point back, because the long race is gonna be to Simmons Point, so
Okay.
James Point back.
So I
Do
checked with
that in
Tracy.
my powerboat.
Oh.
So is there a jousting thing at the end?
I used to do that for Friends Men's Club years ago, Joe Janoski was in a boat joust, remember that?
No, we turned it into a cardboard boat race.
Oh, yeah.
All right, great. Well, let us know what you need, just
Thank you.
check
So we
that
just
date.
we need the chapter 90 approved, and then we
Put it in for the next.
It's already being reviewed.
Yeah, you just put in Portage Insurance over yesterday,
Yep,
so you can please get them yourself.
you're set, ready to go, so,
Okay.
you know, and then it'll go out to all the shops from, you know, Oceanside, everywhere else, up into Connecticut, Westchester, and then they'll all promote it, because, you know, there's not a lot of races out on the East End, unbelievably. You know, when I started researching this, California, every weekend there's a race. So there's not a lot out here, so I think we're gonna attract, you know, a lot of people.
Yeah.
And to show support
On
in
the
those
rise.
guys.
And you obviously checked the tide, right?
Well, we didn't pick a time yet.
The tide.
Yeah, but we didn't pick a time.
Oh, okay, got it.
Well, the tide doesn't affect us.
You're not on the river? On the riverfront?
Not that much.
Okay.
No,
We
because you
paddle
don't,
both directions.
Yeah, you
don't
can't
want
have
to
both
go
ways.
that much, do you?
Well, no, when you get out into the bay, like a mile out, then you
Yeah.
don't worry about tides, but close to
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
you
just,
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you bringing it out. We'll put it on for the next board meeting. and
Anything
it'll be
that
okay.
brings people to Riverhead is a good thing.
Absolutely. Keep up the good work.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'm gonna have the next thing on the agenda.
What's the next thing on the
The
agenda?
house barge?
House barge legislation.
We
Okay.
discussed it in code revision.
Okay, see,
All right, well, while we're waiting for
Have a
Bob.
nice day.
Diane, why don't you come up, because I don't want to have you stay sitting in the audience.
This could be a good thing, and it could be something that the house process.
We're going to shift gears for a minute. It's not on the agenda. Diane Wilhelm and I were discussing this morning the agendas, and effective immediately, all resolutions have to be in my office by 4:30 the day before the board meeting, the Friday
The
before
Friday before.
before the board meeting, and you're going to?
Yes, this'll really work well for my office because we'll be able to review things a little more, and then we can get the agenda online by 12 noon on Monday
Okay.
before the meeting. I've had a lot of residents inquire about getting the agenda on sooner so they could review it, they had more time to review. So it will, yeah, it's like a customer service, we're trying to be customer friendly.
That's Denise
Yeah.
Civiletti, Riverhead Local.
Yeah.
Floyd.
So I'm committed to try to do that. I know we've tried in the past. And,
Any resolution that doesn't make it to your office by 4:30, you're the clerk, you just bang, done. If it's a
blame you.
resolution that has to
Yeah,
be,
that's okay.
It's
But,
time sensitive, we'll take a look.
yeah, if there's a resolution that's time sensitive, we'll take it off the floor.
Right.
We're not gonna take a flurry of resolutions off the floor, but,
Just have to ask all the departments to, work with us on this so that it.
Well, that's good,
works well.
if that is the cutoff, then we can have one by Monday.
Right,
We can-
right.
and it's done by
There'll be no
Monday. There'll be no complaining about whether you have it or you don't, because it'll be online. That's
Right.
good.
I'm
All right, so
committed
that's
to-
good for you.
Yes,
and-
it's
and
very
you
good.
have-
Yeah.
I mean, you're an elected official, so if somebody tries to sneak one in, you just tell them, dude, not mine.
Okay.
Tenure. All right,
Okay,
thanks,
thank
Diane.
you, thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Diane.
Okay.
All right, Bob, come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Bob.
All right. House vote legislation. What's that about?
So, if I can start. Last year, I was notified by the Suffolk County Health Department that all affluents, orders off of house barges, houseboats, which they define, house
Affluents?
Well,
Oh, you mean the
Gray
water?
water.
Sanitary.
Great water.
Gray water, not only sanitary waste, but gray water, shower, dishwater, and so forth. Had to go into a sanitary system, whether it's a holding tank or into a sewer system. Pleasure boats are allowed to have that affluent water, gray water go overboard as they are moving around the waterways and navigating. But because the house barge is stationary, they felt there was some concerns with contaminations to the estuaries and so on. So the letter came out January of last year. I've been working pretty diligently and closely with the Suffolk County Health Department to address this. And as I started to dig in, it's a sizable investment to connect the house barges to a sanitary system, and the best circumstances to tie it actually into the sewer, tap it into the sewer, and you're not worrying about pumping out and so forth. But they need to be permanently connected and so forth. We have 5 house barges on our property at the marina. One is the Riverhead Foundation's offices housed there. The bathrooms aren't even in use because we don't want any gray water going when they wash their hands, so they use the bathrooms in the aquarium. But we do
That's
have.
not real convenient in the wintertime.
No, it's not. It's not at all. And we have 2 permanent residents, we have 1 seasonal resident, and then we have 1 couple that lives seasonally between all 5 boats. To comply with the Suffolk County Health Department, we are looking to work with PW Gross, we already contracted them, and already started getting engineering reports on where and how we can tap the boats on a permanent circumstance into the sewer district. In amongst my conversations with various people, there was some conversation about legislation regarding house barges with the town. Nothing solidified, but
I see the assessors sitting here,
Yes, you do.
thinking the same thing.
so there's been some dialogue, and after Sandy, you saw some places getting rid of them. Other towns have made some, Manhasset made some changes and so forth. Prior to us making a $80,000 investment into doing this correctly as per Suffolk County Health Department requirements. I would like clarity to ensure that, you know, one, they're gonna be grandfathered in with the existing barges, or if we comply, then, you know, we can have barges there. We would look to, you know, I know some of them are not the most appealing things, and we would actually look to, you know, require that they would have some type of conformity in their appearance. So like you go to a model home development and they have 5 models on the wall, and you say you can choose this model, we would eventually potentially get to that point so they don't look like, you know, boxes on a barge. And we would also, you know, look to make sure that everything is conforming to the county. And then if the town decides to say potentially, because they're not paying, I guess, land taxes,
Yeah, I'm gonna invite the assessors up.
if there's a fee
You know
that wants to be, you know, implemented because of the services, fire, emergency services, if there's a fee, you know, that needs to be discussed, but, so that's it. To open ourselves up a little bit.
Here's my question. Lots of towns have sort of banned these because they don't.
Sure, and I knew you were gonna say that,
Any
Supervisor.
taxes.
This is last month's Marine Magazine, okay? This is happening around the world. There are actually building communities
Right.
with these.
Yes.
So, you know, some of the towns on Long Island may be addressing it, and I think in part because of the tax concern and/or the health department. But there's communities around the world that are actually building communities.
This was under discussion a few years back, and it never went no place, because our concern is that our whole South Shore is on water. And anybody can just pull a house photo and park it on our waterways with no regulation. So they should be regulated for environmental concerns and for taxes, because they still use our facilities. They can, recreation facilities, they get out of senior center. So something has to be done, either a fee every year in lieu of taxes, but we have to look at the whole thing. We tried to do that, but it couldn't go nowhere.
We discussed it in code revision, we discussed an annual fee, an annual permit fee that would make up and offset the taxes. And we also discussed, because it is such an investment in speaking to Brian and Mr. Petroselli and also the code revision committee, that we would either have to say that there's a drop dead date where these have to be removed, which is when they wouldn't make the investment to connect, or that the existing ones would be able to remain until they are destroyed by either fire or damage to where it was more than
Yeah, but the
50%
problem with
uninhabitable.
leaving them there, if they don't hook up to anything, is an environmental nightmare.
Well, they have to hook up,
So they
John.
would have to hook
That's what the
up.
health department's
They
saying,
would
they
have to hook up. We just can't leave them until they burn down. These things hardly ever burn down. I haven't seen one on fire in years, and I'm talking go back 10 or 20 years.
They might sink.
They may
I've seen
sink,
a
they
couple
may
of them
sink.
taking on water.
Yes, taking on water like any boat would do.
Well, the health department's given him a deadline that he has to connect, so he's either going to connect and know that his investment is protected because it will be able to remain there until it is damaged or destroyed, or he's not going to invest and he's gonna remove them now.
Well, the question has to be asked is what, question that I'm posing that I think should be asked and answered is what is fair? Because you have a 1,300 square foot house barge and you're not paying any taxes to anybody. You could be sending your kids to the school district and everything else. And a 1,300 square foot house in the town of Riverhead's gonna pay $6,000 in taxes. I'm making up a number.
Well, I know at least 7.
So are you willing to pay $6,000
No, well,
in fees? Because
I
that's-
understand, we don't, everybody, the people that we have there, they're all single people, there's no.
But that's not an answer to the question, because it doesn't have to be a single
Sure,
person.
that is the circumstance.
Well, no, yours, but I know there's 2 down on Riverside Drive, on that facility, docking facility, there's 2 down there. I don't know who lives in them, but we do have them on our waterways. And I think they should be regulated.
I really do need one of the assessors to answer this question. If you don't want to come up here, that's fine, but is there a way to assess these
I don't know, I don't think they're real property, I don't know under
Yeah,
10212G if they're real property, I'd have to research. I mean, the intent, is it to be affixed to the realty? You know,
Well, I think the real property tax law, and I'm not an assessor, but the real property tax law says if you make a home and either you rent the land or you don't own the land, you're still taxed on real property because that's real property, because you live there, you vote there, and you make that your home.
Well, real property is a lot of things. Real property is poles, wires, and conduits. That's real
Well,
property.
they're gonna be
so-
attached with sewer systems
So
now.
that's what I would have to research to see if these would actually be considered real property.
That's an important
I
question.
mean, there's
Answer
mobile
before we
manufactured
discuss
housing,
it further.
mobile homes, you know, they're still on wheels, they have the blocks, they're tied down, but they're considered real,
They're
affixed.
property.
They're affixed to the real estate, so I would really, you know, without saying that they're real or personal,
Well, let me go to the personal part. I read the law, and it said that they're real property.
well, mobile homes
That's
are
what
real
it is.
property, manufactured housing, but,
Yes.
you know, housing on the
That's-
water,
Brian and I, we had a conversation earlier about this, and I've been looking, I did some looking into it and stuff, and mostly everything I saw was a fee, you know.
Yeah, I would charge a fee in lieu of taxes.
Yeah, you know, if you come in with a fee, payment of it. Because don't forget the town granted this once before, I think we had the big vote on Riverfront, we tried discussing that issue before. I think Anne Marie did research on that, and it was going to be a fee base. It couldn't be, that we couldn't do it on a real property tax. This was researched once before, so it would have to be done under a fee base.
But I was told that the town board, and you can answer this question, or Bob can answer it, that the town board can't set a lumen taxes fee. Payment in lieu of taxes, that's come
I think it would
the IDA.
it's the same basis for that rationale would be the same as whether it would be taxable as real estate.
usually the town doesn't enter controlling pilots unless it's private housing finance
Right,
or
there's a
IDA.
reason for it, that's correct.
I don't think we can
In
just say
justification.
Right, see, that's what I was, my research has found that.
It's gotta be legislative authority for it.
That's why we discussed it as an annual permit fee.
Yeah.
But that doesn't solve the issue for the school district, or
Right, then the
splitting the
taxes
school
don't get
district with
distributed
the
in the
The
percentage.
marina's paying fees, taxes.
don't even
Not
go
much.
there.
I
Don't even go there, Brian.
We wrote a $98,000 check.
Brian, don't even go there.
Would this be-
It's not a place we wanna go.
Just saying, not paying
You
taxes.
don't wanna go there.
That's true.
So you would have to make a determination of, you know, you'd have to break it up so that the school district would be entitled to part of this fee, that the first,
Yeah.
that's, what type of fee were you looking at doing?
Well, the fee issue was not the principal reason why it got back in front of the Code Revision Committee. From what I understand, this was discussed, and Anne Marie, if I'm wrong, around 2007, 2008,
Yeah.
CAC, due to the concerns about the impact on the waterways and those environmental concerns, brought it to the Code Revision Committee, drafted legislation. I understand it was brought to the town board and it sort of died on the vine. Last year, the CAC asked the question again, what happened with the legislation?
No, it didn't come here, I've never
No,
discussed this.
no, well, it would have been before your tenure anyway, it would have been 2007, 2008.
Yeah, we before.
And it came back to code revision last year. CAC approached us and said, you know, whatever happened with this, what are we doing?
So you do have some sort of a draft that could work with.
Yes.
It's a very rough draft, and I'll be honest, I haven't taken it anywhere further because of the fact that it was unclear whether it was going to go anywhere and had any traction whatsoever. It did include a amortization period, a sunset, with the idea that anything that was existing would have a useful life and therefore be able to recoup whatever expenditures they lay out. Well, you know, of course, that was in 2016, because again, it goes back to 2007, 2008. That could be advanced if that was the board's desire. The other alternative is to knock it out entirely. The provision included a requirement that an existing house barge, an existing houseboat, would need to apply to the CAC for an ability to continue. And one of the conditions of that would be that they attach or, make sure that the gray water is in fact flowing into a sewer system as the county health department is requiring them to do. There would be an annual permit, and those existing house barges would be able to continue, except if they had more than 50% damage due to act of God, fire, otherwise, and then they would be no longer able to continue.
That's not what Brian wants, because you want him to, you're gonna make an $80,000 investment, you wanna know the 5 or 6 or 7 can continue indefinitely.
But we don't know what the lifespan.
Well,
We discussed.
if they're destroyed and the person doesn't want to fix their home, you know,
You wanna bring another one.
No,
I'm not proposing that.
that's
No,
not what the
we don't know
legislation says.
what the true lifespan of a houseboat is. I know in your marina that they've been there for years.
20 years we have two
Yes,
people there.
yeah,
Over
they've
20
been there
years.
for years. And so what is the lifespan of a houseboat? Because
Forever.
it just sits there, it just sits there.
Right.
And if you
Yeah, they
have, if
fix
you
the
have a
roof, they fix
fiberglass
the windows,
bottom,
they fix.
you know, what can happen to it?
I'll go out on a limb here, and my opinion is that if you're going to do this, you're going to have to assess them, if you will, what the value would be if they were like a mobile home, and that would be the fee.
Well, they may be real, if they're affixed to the real estate and they have, you know, connectivity to sanitary and things like that, you know, the intent is to be a more permanent structure.
Right.
So, I don't know if the board would be more apt to approve it if it was determined that they were real and that they wouldn't challenge that argument.
That would be my consensus. We wouldn't deal with it on a fee basis. If you could determine that once it's hooked up to the sewage system, that it's real property or whatever, then
And then the rate would be, you know, the assessment would be set on it, would be come up with a value and assessment, similar like a mobile home. And of course, there'd be some depreciation, I think, over the years, because, again, you know.
is that how you do the mobile homes?
Just like the mobile home.
Just like, we can handle
Yeah,
something
there's
to a mobile
market
home.
value.
And they
And then-
depreciate
Sometimes, no.
sometimes, yes, right?
A lot of people keep them up.
Not always.
Well, a lot of people do, but if I consider a mobile home like a car depreciates. A mobile home, eventually, and you see Glenwood, they're taking them out and crushing them up
Yeah.
because they've lived their useful life,
But the
and they
new
want,
ones are.
and they want to put a new one in.
The new ones
The-
are so much.
Well,
better.
there's so much better boat.
Yeah, they resell them.
What's your drop dead date?
The Suffolk County Health Department didn't give us a deadline date, but we've started already with engineering and stuff, I mean, because it has to be so.
All right, so I guess
So we want to comply, because right now, the great water's going overboard. I mean,
Yeah, I think
it's
this
not
is a
something
great
we want.
idea, and I think we should move forward with it.
Well, what I'd like to do is have the assessors do the research, because if it's tied into our sewer system, then I want to know that it's real property, and then they will be taxed.
And
That was not a fee you're gonna pay, it's a fee that they're gonna pay, it'll be a tax bill to the,
The question is, like, who owns it? Is there, you know, like a bill of sale? Is that something, a title? Like,
or
because
maybe
of
it'll
actually
get
owns
into
it?
your tax bill.
Well, I think they're titled and they have to register with the state of New York,
Yeah.
because you
They'll be
need numbers.
registered.
No, we own 2 of them.
But you
And-
said you
and
were gonna
then-
pick things off a wall and pick this model, and you
Well,
would.
that would just be for cosmetic restoration.
Yes.
But the ones coming in, they're gonna be
Or
more.
if you had any more come in,
titles.
Who would
if you
own
had
it?
any more come in.
And how would we,
Well, then people own them
Yeah,
themselves.
they have titles, they use documentation either through
The
the
new
newer
ones.
title
Yeah.
or Coast Guard.
This
The old
is
ones
just for
probably
the
don't.
existing houseboats that are there, so eventually, if they are destroyed, there will not be any anymore. It's not swapping one out for a newer one, it's the existing ones can remain.
But
What do you think?
So I wanted that
my
clarification.
problem, and
It's
you have
only
to look
as
at the
existing, correct?
legislation,
Are they subject
is
to our
people
rental
use
laws?
these to travel in. And they come
Right.
and stop, and they may spend the summer here, and then take up and go someplace else down south with them and stay down there. So they're not always permanently anchored here, some are here temporarily. Could come for a weekend.
Those are not allowed.
Those are considered, well, no, those are considered houseboats.
Yes.
We're not talking about.
Houseboats have motors and they're mobile, so
Right.
that would be almost as any other pleasure boat,
Yes.
Right,
you know?
this is
the
not
other
that.
thing is.
These are house barges that are more,
They
Perfect.
can't
So
go.
you
They don't have
differentiate
motors.
between houseboats and house barges.
yeah.
So we would need
Okay,
definitions
so we
of
would
that.
have to do that.
Yeah, there's a difference.
And they
Yeah, you have to do that in
fall or
legislature.
spring,
Because the,
and then
Okay.
they leave before the end
I
of the
thought it was
year, we never
transient,
tax them.
But they
Whereas
can't
they're not.
move because they have no motors, they have to have somebody
Right.
march it away,
Right.
you know, have
Apples
a
and
tugboat,
oranges.
pull it out.
Yeah, we're talking
So
about,
the,
yeah.
so the issue is really going to be, if they connect to the sewer system, then can they be assessed?
Right.
And then the question is, well, who gets assessed? Is it Atlantis, because you own two? It would be Atlantis or whoever your parent corporation that owns the two, they're gonna get assessed whatever the assessed valuation is. And the ones that are individual is some, I know in some mobile home parks, people get individual tax bills, and some mobile home parks, they pay their own
Well,
tax
they-
bills.
Yeah, but that, they'd have to look for residency and membership, and could they
Right.
get a star
To get-
exemption, you
yeah.
know, it's like,
To get
they're
your
now
own,
opening a big can of
yeah, to get your
worms.
own, you have to have some kind of exception, or else it goes to the park.
Right, but then how
See?
would you require somebody to give you the ownership so that, and do we assess it to probably just Atlantis? But we'd have to know whether or not they're there as of March 1st.
well, I think maybe it could be kind of similar with what we do with some of the mobile home parks where the mobile home park takes care of it, they get the bill, they pay the bill,
Right, but I
and they
have to-
assess it to the owners.
We'd have to look to
Yeah.
see is what's
But-
there as of March 1st.
But if someone's a veteran, and he's living
They don't
there, and
need-
and
It'd be a
you're
big thing to
assessing
do.
him, and he wants his veteran's exception,
And
you
and
can't
great
deny
business.
him
Yeah.
that. So then he would get
His own bill.
his own bill, and the rest of them, the ones that come here for summer, they would go to the park, but the permanent ones, if they have exemptions, would get their own bill.
But they'd have to own it.
They'd have to own it, and they'd have to get, and they want some kind of extension, exception.
We're all over the map here.
Yeah, I
What
was
we're
gonna
talking
say-
about are permanent structures, pretty much. I mean,
Yes.
permanent fixtures.
Yeah, he's talking about house parks,
I
just
think
for-
we're all over the map. We
I'm
have
talking
to
about-
get what we
It
wanna
starts
do.
to- it starts
We have to
Yeah,
give
listen,
them a
we wanna
little bit of
address-
light.
Right, because I know his, we want to address what you have, which these have been there for a long time. They were took us.
Well, that's the point, Jim, is that if
That's right.
these folks can live in that house, in theory, raise a family in that house, send them to the school district, partake in everything that other taxpayers partake in, and then it's always been the argument across Long Island and probably across the United States with these things. And, you know, my
So
opinion is
if
if
the
you're gonna
assessor go back and like you said, by tying into a permanent sewer septic system, now that makes that your property, that would be a homeowner.
right, so that's what
But
we
I'll tell you now, just, if marinas want to get around it, they don't tap into your sewer system, they put a holding tank, and then you can have 50 lined up, and they're just have to go into a holding
Yeah,
tank.
but the
But
health
you can
department
either do
won't
the
put a
whole
holding
tank, or you can do the sewer system.
Really?
So that would be, have to be
Well, then
addressed
we would have
in the
to-
legislation.
Yeah, legislation would have to be tight.
The
They
reason
would
I'm
have to be
here,
tight.
the reason I'm here, these discussions are very interesting, but the real question is, does the board want to put an end to them? Does the board want to have the possibility of more coming?
I don't want a possibility of more coming.
And therefore, if you don't, I think we need to move forward with legislation in order to grandfather what's here, prevent anything further. And then, of course, the question is there a desire to do an amortization? Because I think that's what you're looking to find out, if there's going to be a sunset or not. And if there's not, and other municipalities have either totally eliminated them as a possibility, or
Yeah.
alternatively done what we've done, which is a hybrid. We looked at Southold, we looked at East Hampton, we looked at Southampton, looked at Brookhaven. And, you know, some have allowed those to there to continue, again, subject to a permitting process.
Similar to what we got now with non-conforming uses, and
Correct.
that can exist as long as it's.
Well, what I'm really
X,
looking
Y, and
for
Z.
more from here is, I think, one, to answer Brian's question, you know, where's this going? And two, from my office perspective, what am I drafting? What am I putting forward
I don't
this
think
time?
Brian wants to
If
put
anything.
80,000 into this, and we
Not if
tell
they're gonna
them
get
it's
sunset.
gonna sunset it in 10 years.
So I need that
I
answer.
mean, that's the problem.
And I
You know what I
need an
said?
answer from the perspective of if these things tie into a sewer system or a land-based holding tank. I understand if it's their own holding tank, then they're more like a boat, but if it ties into a sewer system or a land-based holding tank, can they be taxed as real property? Because if that's the case, then the inequity of it all has gone away.
I think that's what
As
you
long
have
as
to
it's
do.
for existing houseboats only and not new ones, and with the clause in there that if they're destroyed, then they don't replace it with another one.
Well, you don't want any new.
But if you're
No.
gonna figure out a way to tax them, however that comes up, why wouldn't you want new ones then?
I wouldn't care.
Yeah, I wouldn't care either, I don't know why
We
we
might
wouldn't.
put a
I've gotten
maximum
calls
number.
from other
Yeah.
marinas. I got a call from a woman in Connecticut that was potentially wanting to bring a boat down. I told them no at this juncture, but, you know, looking forward, the way you guys need to do that. I mean, if you're gonna collect some type of tax fee, why limit them?
And we're gonna.
I mean, again, you look at this, this is a thriving community that's being built.
Yeah, and we're gonna protect the environment, so, you know, I don't, you know, they're better now, if you protect the environment, they're gonna be better than regular boats.
They will be.
Yes, because they're not gonna have any gray water going into our Peconic Bay.
All right, let's
From
say,
a boater's point of view, one of the things you might want to keep in mind too is, you don't want to open up a can where also you have waterfront areas. Now,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
marinas are filled with
remember,
houses.
you're restricted from East Creek to move that there, so you might want to look at an area and say, in this area,
it's a zoning issue.
That's a good idea.
zoning issue.
That's right.
Because you don't want to have your whole shoreline and then the whole shoreline flowing.
That's right.
There's only one place you can legally have a marina in Riverhead anyway, that's, of course, every place else is a non-conforming use.
But they're not all necessarily located within a marina, the ones that currently exist.
Say that again?
The ones that currently exist aren't necessarily in a marina.
No.
Like the one on Riverside Drive, they're not in
Right.
the marina, they're just walked up to a dock.
And I'll tell you that the
I
town
don't
board,
think the Elks has any.
the
The
CAC
whole
wanted to
stock has
sunset
a-
them.
Yeah, Glen over there.
Yeah.
I mean, we may find we can't really, we could come up with a formula, we may have, define that there could be taxes for properties, come up with a formula, give you a value, and assessment, and
And the
fee.
fee would be based on, well, that's, one of those, one of those two alternatives is what I think I would support.
Because I think it might be more for people.
Yeah, so I think this really has to be looked into, and
Then we'll make a decision.
put it all together.
So there's no
We've been
decision.
talking about this since how long? 2007, you were on the
That's
board,
right.
right?
But
As long as I know today that you're not gonna get rid of them,
You know,
and you're
You
gonna
got
figure
tabled,
out
never
how
brought up
to
again.
put a fee on it, then I can keep pressing forward with what I'm doing.
Again, I think that was a political decision.
Because I'm not complying with Suffolk County right now, and, I need to.
But you have to make.
Right, so that's the most,
All right, let's get that question answered and let's reconvene the work session on this issue with that questions. If those two questions are answered, maybe we'll go back on next week.
And the other thing.
You don't necessarily have to come, but you might want to. Check with Jim.
And the other thing that disappeared is the Barbara Glass was working on, the marinas, like Larry's Lighthouse Marina, have
Well, that was
legislation,
part of
that was, yes, right? And that just went away.
Never been
And
heard
that's
of that.
another one that went away.
Yeah, we've talked about it
Huh?
before. We could talk to, that could be a Jeff Murphy type thing that should be looked at someday. All right, let's answer those questions.
So you need those answers.
we never adopted it.
You need those answers before you make a determination.
Listen, we're going, you'll keep them there another 20 years.
We never adopted it.
We're gonna connect to the sewer system.
Does our sewer department know that?
Submitting engineering numbers, yeah.
Yeah, you have to talk to them.
Yeah, all right, we're submitting engineering numbers.
Okay.
Doing it the right way.
All right, thank you.
Visit water source, is that from you?
Yeah.
Brian, thank you.
So it's based on water usage, so they.
We're already paying for that.
You want to do,
We already paid the sewer fee because it's the incoming on the water.
Yeah.
Mary, are you here on Justin purchasing?
Yeah.
All right, let's do Justin purchasing.
We have to figure out how to charge.
Anne Marie.
Hey, Mary, how you doing?
Hi. How you doing?
I'm gonna start off because I know there's been a lot of stuff that's gone out here. I spent a lot of time and a lot of hours looking at this issue. It's actually a lot harder than this. And I've had a chance to look at various studies. I've had a lot of report that Mary provided from Dr. Savino, look at a study that was done upstate with the Soil Conservation Department themselves in New York. A lot of time on this, as well as also looking into the process here, because there's been a lot of information out there that I think has been twisted, distorted, and all over the board. And I want to make sure that, since this is on TV, some of those issues are out of the way that I'm aware of, and then from Mary's perspective with respect to her clients, those facts. The items that are being brought to, or being proposed to be brought into town with head are trees, wood. There's a process that's in place, that's been put in place with DEC, FEMA, and a company called Debris Tech to ensure that there's not C&D, there's not adulterated material, it's not sludge, it's not
It's all
plastic.
it's all identical.
It's not, it's been tested as a result of the storm down in Louisiana, the hurricane down there, and there's a process that's in place to track by GPS and by true time so that the material coming has been ensured to be trees.
I've driven
That
on
are
the
not
property.
Asian beetle quarantine area, that are not other materials, so I just want to make sure that's clear and apparent that we're not talking about stuff that's going to contaminate the soil and that's going to cause a problem. So that's out there.
I've driven on that property, all the way back, and these are not wood chips. Some of those chips are this
It's like a
big.
shred.
Yes, they're shreds, yes.
And
And everybody's
Councilman
calling
Davison's
them
also
chips.
familiar with
But
what's been
they're
done.
not chips though, huh?
We could clarify.
Yeah, as it's,
See,
he'll
I
explain.
mean, they would have to
It's still a
re-chip
process.
it
Right.
to sell it. So now, are we doing the processing? That's what I'm saying,
Well,
the processing. of
that part I want to leave to Mary because
Okay.
I think she's going to have to explain what's going to happen with the product once it comes to the site, what its intended use is, and what would be done there. Because I think that you have to hear that. Because we did hear it, we did listen to it Monday at the Ag Advisory Committee. Mary was there with Eileen Powers, as well as with Christian Goglia, who is the principal involved with this process. And I don't want to state their case, I don't want to make representations as to what they stated. I want Mary to do that because I think it's important to hear that. I will tell you that as a result of what they represented to us, and assuming they do exactly what they stated to us they would do, the Ag Advisory Board came to I think a unanimous consensus that is incidental to or related to the agricultural use that's on the property currently. And I will turn it over to Ms. Hartel.
Does that turn into mulch?
Turns into
Because
soil.
I thought that when I was there, one of the 2 times, 3 times I was there, that there was smoke coming out of the pile. And I was just wondering if it was heating up, and could there be a fire in that pile?
Well, that's an interesting issue because there's a stop work order on the property, and I think there are piles there. And what they need to do is get them in windrows. But to just back up a little bit, they want to import the wood chips, which are about 9 inches long. They're going to shred them to less than 1 inch. That's the only processing that they're going to do. And they're going to do that in a short period of time. They'll get all the wood chips on the property, then they'll shred them to less than 1 inch. And then they'll place them in the windrows and let them decompose. And the decomposition process is 6 months to 18 months, possibly 2 years. Originally, they told me up to 18 months. They're not going to inject anything into them at this point, that's my understanding, not even nitrogen. And they're going to turn them. They're going to organize the windrows consistent with DEC recommendations, so there will not be an issue of combustion. And then they're going to use the product on their own.
Now, how far, I know they're about a half a mile back, they're quite a ways back to this farm. How far out are you gonna come? Or
The
did
back
they wanna
7
come?
acres is what they're gonna use, and the rest of the farm, it's a 43.
You couldn't estimate how far from Sound Avenue that is, you know. You can't, and I'll tell you the truth, you can't see it
Right,
when you drive in Sound Avenue, because the first time I went to look for it, I passed it.
right.
Because everyone was telling me it was next to the fireplace, right? And I said, I was focused on getting up there and looking, but it's about a half mile this side, west of it. And so when I turned around and came back, then I started really looking, and then I found a trail that they made to bring the trucks in.
Well, I
So you can't see it.
Well, you
unless you're
can't
looking
see
for it.
what's there now because they brought in possibly, I'm guessing, 150 trailer loads. They're looking to bring in another 1,000.
Well, that's why I want to know
1,000
how
trailer
far
loads, so then you will
out, how
see.
far out
The volume,
will it come? That's what I asked.
I think they're saying
My
7
question-
acre.
Back 7 acres of the lot.
Yeah, but 7 acres
So
doesn't do anything for me to back 7 acres. I mean, how many feet from Sound Avenue will this pile stop?
George,
Will be 300 foot, 400 foot?
Yes,
You know, that's what I'm
I
interested
think, well, for me, my biggest question and biggest concern, I think, was what the town's concern was what exactly is going on in this property.
Right.
Reporting a lot of stuff. Now, you say that they're tracking it, they identify what they're bringing in, so there's no risk that way.
As I said, there's a company that's called Debris Tech
Right.
that's been retained to monitor the process.
And they certify the loads.
As a result of Katrina, they developed a program that's on an iPad, it's loaded onto an iPad, and what they do is they track the progress of this material from the start to the end by GPS coordinates and by true time. So what happens is when they find a tree that needs to be removed from a location, a individual, either a Debris Tech consultant or a County of Nassau, DPW employee with this iPad takes a picture of it, program loads in the GPS coordinates, and then the material is loaded onto a truck. That truck is then taken to the central processing area, Eisenhower Park, or a location in Nassau
Let me
County.
ask you a question. Is there still material in Eisenhower Park?
There's material through Nassau County that is available to them.
Other sites possibly, right?
Now,
They have
these are-
2 or 3 sites.
These are only trees. They're not contaminated trees. They're only trees that we see growing
If you let me finish the
Yes,
sequence
right.
of events, what happens is it comes to the site, there's a process by which they can look in the back of the truck, I'm told. It comes in, it's unloaded. It's then brought into the size that's being brought out to the Eastern location or other points of final rest. And it's then loaded back onto a tractor trailer. Again, the same process. There's a view done in the top to make sure there's nothing else in it. And it's also, once again, there's a iPad snapshot.
This is after
GPS.
it's done,
After it's
the
been
wind
shredded.
rose, it's,
No, this is after it's shredded at the Nassau location.
oh, okay.
And then it's loaded. Again, the iPad is used, it's a GPS coordinate in true time, and then that vehicle leaves that site with an estimated delivery time and an anticipation of how long it's going to take to come from Nassau to its final point where it's being unloaded.
All right,
And the reason for that is because when they bring it to the site, there's another iPad that is, again, taking a picture, there's an electronic barcode, and they will be able to coordinate, it left this location at this time, it arrived at this location at this time.
I want to try to focus this down here, because I don't think we understand that it's.
I just want to make sure it's understood.
I think we
That's-
understand
it's-
that.
Okay.
The question that I have, and maybe George can weigh in on this, you want another 1,000 truckloads. How in the world are you ever going to absorb all that material?
Well, just to
at
get an
one time?
idea of how much material is coming in here, Bob did a calculation, you would cover those 40 acres, probably 12 inches deep.
If it were done all at one time, and that was
That's how much volume is there.
using a 75,000 cubic yard calculation. This was off of a computer.
That was 1 inch, though.
Well, 1 inch would have been about 500 acres.
But
It only got
even that
42, but
driveway
actually
is about,
37 somewhere.
5 or 6 inches, or more than that. It could be 2 foot that they made that driveway.
What happens is that they bring in the product, they want to bring in 150,000 cubic yards. Within a few weeks' time, they're going to reprocess it and shred it. And at the Ag Advisory Committee, it was discussed that that will reduce it possibly 50%, just that process right there. Okay?
All I want to know, and I'm being quite straightforward, I don't know why this is not a commercial composting facility like you have down on Frohline in San Mauritius, and I can't think of the names of the ones down there. Because if you can't use it on that farm, then really all you seem to be is a commercial composting facility.
I want to be clear.
They feel that they could possibly use on the farm.
I need to see some engineering.
If you look at the engineering, it's questionable. They say they could use that.
Yeah,
How
if
farms-
you turn it into soil,
And that's what
I think-
the ag advisory, you had a board of, everybody, the whole board was here. There were some people that were absent that he explained all the specifics to it and the use. And then it was explained that it's not going to be used in 1 year. It's going to be covering the back 7 acres. Remember, it's a 43-acre farm. At this point, it's still the intention of my client to have the remaining acreage farmed in the coming spring. And then, once the wood chips compost significantly enough to become soil, they're going to, over a period of 3 years, reintroduce that back into the soil.
Okay, show me the engineering. If somebody is gonna have to hire an engineer, and it's not gonna be the town, and the town, and probably, in my opinion, the town should recommend the engineer that you're gonna hire, and you're gonna have to give us the math behind this, because I'm afraid that you're gonna
I
wind
want
up
to point
with so
something
much
else
higher.
out. Some of the other farms, one or two farms said at the meeting, said they bring in leaves, same products, they compost and they use it. And I think there was some fear with the farmers, that the town would begin regulating the process. You know what I'm saying? We may be way out on this one, but they're afraid, once we start regulating, we can regulate them.
but
So I think that's.
but I'm afraid of our roads. Sound Avenue is not a commercial road like the county or the state have. They have thick roads where they can bear these tractor trailers. Our roads are very thin, they break up. Now, I know, when they were building the golf course on Sound Avenue, and bringing in material and leaving, we had an agreement with them that they would repair the road after they were finished, that they would blacktop it, because these trucks do break up our roads. And so I would look for something, or a route,
Yeah,
huh?
we discussed it, Bob and I did, and because it's an ag operation and it's consistent with what Ag and Market says that you can do on an agricultural piece of property, there is no fee that's associated with it because it's for use for the farm.
Even they get there?
Yeah, the only question that I had, Mary, was, George said that it was 40 acres, 12 inches to begin with. You said it would decompose after a short time. You're saying it's the back 7 acres, because I'm concerned about the farmer that's there now in production, that he's going to be able to continue to farm there, because I was told that the soil would be too enriched to where his product wouldn't grow there. So you're saying that,
It's going to be, the product's going to be brought in, it's going to be reduced to 1 inch minus size wood chips. So that's the difference between what's being brought in. And he has a large shredder, which could do that in a short period of time. It's then going to be placed on the back 7
7
acres.
inches, so it's not the whole 40
No,
acres.
and then when it's good soil. And this is the process that organic farms,
Yeah.
when they want to become organic farms, they do this.
I agree with you 100%. The only issue I have is your volume. Somebody's got to do the engineering. And what I'm going to say is that the town board could recommend Vinnie Gordiello give you a fee that it would cost for Vinnie to come in and analyze the volumes. And then, because if it's all going to go into that 143 acre farm, I agree with you 100%. I support that. That is what the farmer does when he brings the leaf mulch in. That's what, although there are a couple that I think are a little squirrely about it, but for the most part, they're bringing it in and mulching it on their own property. So my way of thinking,
Well,
that
they're
large
letting
volume,
it decompose and then they're spreading it out.
and that's fine.
And they're adding it as a supplement
Jeff
or.
has something to
But
say.
let me finish this point. My concern is only one thing, Mary, is that we allow this when all of a sudden Justin Purchasing says, oh, well, wait a minute, I have 100,000 tons of this stuff, I'm gonna start selling it.
Well, that's exactly my issue with the stop work order, okay? We were told that there's an issue of volume, okay? What my client is doing, and it has been already determined by the Ag Advisory Committee, that it is incidental to agriculture. He's proposed how much he intends to bring in, and the board has also agreed that the amount that he's indicated that he's bringing in will be incidental to agriculture.
Who's the engineer that determined that?
It was the Ag Advisory.
Okay, I just wanted to.
They wanted
Let me finish,
certain
Nowhere in the
conditions,
code.
correct, Bob?
Nowhere in the code does it indicate that it's regulated by volume. So you're saying, we're concerned with the volume. There's a stop work order. We looked at the stop work order. We looked at all the code sections, the chapters that were listed in the stop work order. And we looked at the ones that we tried to imagine, what does this language mean? And we addressed all of them.
I don't think you have.
Nowhere does it indicate volume, and nowhere in the town code. Well, does it
Because
say you can regulate this because of
Well,
volume?
well, I think,
If the volume becomes something greater, so that it's no longer incidental to agricultural use, then that would be the issue, and that's
That's my
when the
issue.
violation should happen.
That's my
It
issue.
shouldn't be now, prove a negative, prove you're not going to do this, and just drag it on. The opportunity for my client
I
to
get
get the wood chips
I get it.
will be gone.
all I want to
If
do is
he's in
just show
violation,
us.
then stop.
Mary, I'm not going to be in a situation, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not going to be in a situation as, for me personally, that all of a sudden you wind up with a large-scale composting facility like on Frohline Road in Center Riches, where I think there's more than one of them, and Justin Purchase saying, oh, shucks, guys, I forgot. I can't use all this stuff. My personal opinion is that unless we know the volume and the ability of it to be absorbed onto the farm, to me, it looks like exactly what I'm saying is he's trying to sneak in a commercial composting facility through our code. If he's not, then I'm sure it's not that expensive to have Vinnie Gaudiello or another engineering firm that we have him
Can I make a recommendation? Instead of an engineer, can we go to Suffolk County Water and Soil Conservation, who's familiar with the soil types on this particular piece of property, and that they can do the calculations to determine whether or not there would be too much nitrogen in the soil in order for it to be formed in the
We
future?
addressed all that with the issues of the nitrogen.
They were directed to go there, have they yet?
They did, and they submitted the reports.
I'm not
submit a
interested
report from
in
Dr. Savino. I didn't see a report from Soil Conservation.
I'm not interested in,
Okay.
guys, all I'm interested in, and I'm gonna let Jeff weigh in a minute, but you have to come up here because people can't understand when they don't hear the microphone. All I'm interested in
Let me,
is,
Jeff,
are we creating a commercial, or is somehow this corporation going to turn out to be a commercial composting facility because of the volume that he can't use? I'm not, the nitrogen, the soil amenity, adding it as an amenity to the soil, I understand all of that. I understand that.
Yeah, I understand what
It's
Mr.
just,
Brooks is asking for, too.
can you can't 100% tell me, I wouldn't as a lawyer, and you can't 100% tell me, that is ever going to convince me, or for that matter a judge, that we know that it's all going to be used on that farm in a way that makes sense without having an engineer do the calculations. That's all we're asking.
and
That's all I'm asking.
I agree with that. But also I'm concerned, we can't give a fee, but they can volunteer with our roads. And there's a house there. Who lives in that house that's right there? Because you can have 1,000 trucks going past this house, and it's pretty close to this house, that these trucks are gonna enter this farm. So
But
I
I
would,
think what we have to remember is that there's the town code, and, you're asking for engineer report that is going beyond the scope of what's regulated.
I don't think so, because I think that if you were going to build a commercial composting facility on Route 58,
Right,
you could not do this without a site plan.
yes.
And your client is trying to do is drive a tractor trailer through the code, if you will, and potentially create a commercial composting facility under the guise of agriculture, because this is completely different than what George was talking about, the farmer bringing the leaves.
Yeah, that's
It
their
is
argument.
different
with
from leaves, in
bringing
fact,
leaves.
it's better than leaves, because you
I'm
don't
sure
have
it
to
is.
do anything to the product, it becomes very rich soil, you don't have to inject any nitrogen into it.
Well, that's, if you talk with somebody that's done it before, I know which nursery's done it before, they don't see how you could do it without injecting nitrogen to move the process of breaking down faster. You don't just take wood chips and come in and turn the soil, like what you do with them in 1 year. I don't see that you turn the soil. It'll break down, I would think it would take more time than
It
that.
depends on the weather conditions.
And the other thing is, soil conservation haven't seen anything from them, they've been directed to do this as far as 3 or 4 weeks ago. I want to see the report, we don't get that.
Because they would know better than an engineer.
Bob has been recommending them to go to soil conservation, they will say, this is how much we need per acre.
Maybe then the
And
engineer.
that is it, they're the engineering, and they've been directed, I would say at least 3, maybe 4
But we can't
weeks.
direct them.
No, to the applicant.
But that's
who's
who,
told to go to soil
whenever,
conservation.
whenever somebody brings
2
in
weeks.
material onto a site, and it's happened before, it's happened to a farm on Manor Lane, whatever, a tremendous amount of material is brought in, Suffolk County Water and Soil Conservation has been brought in to test the material and to also determine how much of that is actually needed and should be used in order to retain the content and the nutrients in the soil. So,
Well, I think that
as for agricultural
They do that
production.
quick.
back to
Yeah.
chapter 62, which I'm thinking that's what the board thinks that the stop work order is based on. It's my opinion that it's exempt completely from the chapter.
No, I think you're a commercial composting operation, no different than if you had been put on Route 58 or,
And what do you base that on?
I'm not going to have a legal
Well,
conversation.
I think that's the core question, and again, I don't think we want to get into
No, we
the
don't.
legal issues, other than I will say this, and there is a case in the state of New York that has pronounced that
I
commercial
don't even-
composting, I'm not just, listen, it's a case, I shared it with council, so there's nothing I'm hiding here. Commercial composting is not agriculture. And that's the question. The question is it a separate use that's not allowed under the zoning, or is it agriculture, which is allowed under the zoning? And that's the question that's being posed today.
They absolutely know.
That's the only question.
But we
And-
went to the Ag Advisory Committee,
And I understand that.
and they've come back with the recommendation that it's farming, it's incidental to farming, it's good for
Well, that's
the-
incidental farming.
And I'm asking where
The
there.
process is, but where's the volume number?
Well, that really
It's
is.
process, yes.
Mary,
it's the
that's
volume.
really the rub.
But soil conservation will tell you the volume.
Why, now you said you're bringing 115, and that's
And that's
what we're gonna do.
All right, let
And
me.
what is that fuse based on?
Because they don't even know.
I didn't even know.
How do you get to that number that you're bringing in and importing now?
the way that you can windrow it and decompose it on the back 7 acres.
And that's incorporated to his land.
Now, is he being paid?
Let's ask Jeff has something he wants to say. Can we let
Huh?
Jeff, he came up to, what is?
It was just a question, and it followed what John asked at the beginning of this meeting, and Mary's response is also in the application. You asked, how much of this is to be visible from the road? Mary's response in the application is, it's only going to take 7 back acres. That's, I believe, is only for the windrows, not for the processing, not for the storage when the trucks come in and dump the material off. My question to Mary is, how much additional acreage are we talking about?
Well, that's a very short process, a matter of weeks.
That's not the question, how much additional acreage is going to be?
I would have to ask my client about that.
It's
because-
not the 7 acres, the 7 acres is just for the windrows, am I
Right.
That's correct.
Quite frankly, I think this is a
Yeah.
commercial composting facility. What I would like, and what I think the town board has to do, Bob, I'm going to ask you to write a letter to Soil and Water Conservation and see if they'd be willing to prepare a report, complete with an engineering analysis of this. I think the Soil and Water has to have engineers on staff.
They do.
Yeah, they come out to take a soil sample, they know what it's,
No, this-
soil is type, they'll say it's recommended.
Because
Some-
Fix it
some
so that it
property.
does
Road,
become
yes,
nutrient
it's
enriched
finished.
so that you can.
With 1,000, over 1,000 trucks.
Let's have Bob write the letter, if you can CC Mary, if you want to keep this above board. But what I'm specifically interested with Soil and Water is not just that it can be, not an amenity, but some sort of addition to the soil. What I'm interested in is when, the volume, when does this become something that can't be used on a 43-acre farm? Because the minute it can't be used on a 43-acre farm, or the recommendation is against that, I think that's where you trigger your
He's
commercial
gonna
site
sell
plan
it, yeah.
application.
He's gonna sell it.
And that's where, then your commercial site plan.
There's actually
Yeah,
the
you-
farming areas like 35, 37.
He's
You
gonna
have
sell
an
it.
acre ready?
Well, is
The
he?
rest is wood.
I don't
It's
know.
not my client's intention to sell.
Okay. Well, that was not his intention. But
All right,
if
so
they
let's
come
do it
back
that
and
way,
say
so
he's
Soil and Water.
too
You have
much,
that one before?
what's he gonna do with the excess?
Let's deal with, let's say Soil and Water, that's a county.
When you applicant,
Yes, it is
go to
county.
soil.
Well, we're gonna ask, we're gonna do it.
Okay.
We'll do it.
Well, you think there was a report from Soil and
Yeah, they,
Conservation?
the day after the stop work order was issued, I know they went over there. They got a positive recommendation and response
From whom?
from Soil and Water.
Do you have a name or contact, because that'll make my job so much
I
easier.
can get that to you.
Okay.
But specifically what I'm asking Soil and Water
Yes.
is can, however many
Which
cubic
acres of soil
yards, can 43 acres total,
37, because it's
37,
wooded,
all right,
35,
30
37.
acres absorb that material?
Yes, ma'am.
Or is it more likely that it can't? Because if it's more likely that it can't, then I want to know where it's going, because then you're a commercial site plan, and that's not agriculture. That's all I'm, if you're, Mary, if you were just bringing in an acre or two of windrows of this, we would never have this conversation. The 1,000 truckloads of this, that is a lot to withstand
50,000.
and not think, Amy, and I'm pretty, I don't know, pro-business. I'm thinking we might be going a little bit beyond.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it at all, except, like you said, there must be some sort of formula that he put together that he knew how much he had to import in order to make whatever he wants happen.
It's based on the DEC guidelines. DEC has guidelines.
And then it was to say 150,000 cubic
How
yards.
to make it now.
How far to keep the windrows from marking each other, how long it can be, if there's venting, you have to turn it.
So this calculation would have how much you
Parking
could
it and it's back here.
do for that amount of
Sustain
property.
on that side of property, but the DEC doesn't weigh what the nutrient content of the soil will be after you till this in.
Well, that's yet to be
So
seen.
they only, for protection purposes of the
Can't test that
woodlands and
anyway.
of the,
Yeah.
for combustion
I'm
purposes.
all for this.
Yeah.
My only concern is the roads. I don't want our taxpayers have to pay to repair the roads. If they can volunteer something and say, okay, if we damage it, we will repair it. I would.
Yeah, but how do you assess who damaged it and where the trucks are coming from? I mean, and
Well,
what
no,
route
no,
they're
property.
taking?
That's like what we did with, then they built the golf course.
All right,
They were
let's,
going on there, so from that point to wherever their route is,
can we do this? We'll get this, see if Soil and Water, maybe Soil and Water would take some time and visit us in Riverhead, and maybe we can sit down in another work session with them if they're willing to come on the record, if they'll do a report, but let's do that as quickly as possible.
All right, get a hold of the person today.
It's only very quick. They go out to take soil samples, what it needs to be, maybe a number like that.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm not even,
And if they're at the site, they gave their recommendation of whether they thought it was good practice. I don't know if it was an issue of volume.
volume is the
Practice
issue.
is a practice.
Now, there's a stop work order on our site, it says nothing about volume. And there's nothing in the code that provides for volume.
Because what we're thinking
now
is it's a
it's-
commercial
Well,
site.
they were told
Are
at
you
the very,
commercial or are you agricultural?
they were told at the very outset, question, how is this agriculture, and why is it commercial use? They were told that the very first time I sat with them, so I just want to make sure that's
Yeah,
clear.
that's the only thing I'm interested in. is
I didn't discuss volume, I did ask them
But
that
I
question.
just wanted to make it clear that we went through the chain. It was referred to the Ag Advisory Committee, and they came back and said it is agricultural, incidental to agriculture, which is what the code.
I don't have anything written showing me, I don't have any.
I think most people agree it is.
I want to see that, Mary.
It's just-
Maybe they didn't look at it as
How much?
depth as I want to see it.
I think we're
So
doing,
wait, you're saying it's not true, they didn't get that recommendation?
We're done with the I think we've had enough of this site plan.
Wait,
Yeah.
you're saying that
I
their
think-
recommendation isn't true, it's not a valid
I
recommendation?
think that we'll go to Soil and Water Conservation, and we will see if they can do an engineering report on the volume, because that is going to be the key from my perspective as to whether that's an agricultural use or commercial use, and that's it.
see,
That's all I want.
I'm not a farmer, so I can't tell you it's great or it's not great.
Right,
I have to look at reports from the Ag Committee
right,
and from
which they.
other people that deal
But they-
with farming. So, that's
Two
where
or 3
I'm
weeks
gonna
before that,
rely
they came in front of the farm, the open space, the farm select committee.
Correct,
And they were recommending, I sat there, that's a different committee, and they told them to go to soil and conservation at that time.
which they did.
And come back and report, nobody heard anything else to stop the work.
All right, let's
They didn't
do,
come back
we're
with,
trying to move
now
this.
we're asking the same question was asked probably a month ago.
All right, let's move
Right,
this.
but
With an
there
answer
was-
in front of us.
There was never my question of volume. First
Okay.
time I heard volume was at
Okay, so to remove that from your mind, I want to know whether this is commercial or agricultural. Somebody has to prove to me, I'm giving you a hint, I'm giving you like the hint on the exam that this is how you could pass this question, in my mind, is it commercial or is it agricultural? And volume is the thing that I would look at. So right now, it looks commercial. The process, I agree with the process, it's good, it's fine, there's no issue. If you were doing 10 truckloads, it wouldn't be here. And that's,
And what about trying to get the Nassau County to agree to get the product set again? Because I understand
I'm not
there was
letting them,
No, the Nassau County, from what I understand, is and that's, the product's going out, I just don't think it's going to the site.
No, it's not going to the site, it's going to other sites.
Well, let's say the stop work order is approved and we satisfy everything you want. It's my understanding there was a phone call made to Nassau County saying stop sending.
we're going to, let's do the soil and water conservation and go from there, all right? We're way too much on the record as it is in a stop work order situation. So let's
So it's
go to
hard
soil
to
and water conservation.
Stop
I
work
thank
order
you
is
for
issued.
coming. I thank you
And
for
then-
coming.
Someone made a
I
phone call
thank
saying.
you.
I'm just saying, I didn't
I
understand.
thank you for coming. Let's take the next thing we have to deal with. All right?
All right, thank you.
Let me just
And
finish
before
this
you
off.
leave, I want to thank you,
Not yet.
the youth board.
Sound out.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
4166
And,
Sound Avenue.
so I want to give you the thanks.
And thanks for really looking into
Okay.
this, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And it just shows that.
I'm not sure that's really true, but thank you for saying it.
Guys call me a liar?
This just proves that we're not biased, because you're doing a great job for the town, but we're not going to give in to you until you prove.
Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Sean, you have Ray.
Oh, Ray, come on in. I'm sorry. Ray, come on up.
Okay, thank you.
Ray, I want to know volume of programs.
No, they don't buy the product.
I love what he's doing, I just wanna know why and how much, why and why now.
Hi, ready?
Oh, park and recreation, skateboard fees. What was that? I don't even know what we were talking about here.
Yeah, I took the skateboard fees out of the regular 2013 fees for Park and Rec, because I wanted the whole board to weigh in on this.
Okay.
We did a study over the last couple of years at the skate park, and we just, although, I mean, it's great down there, we're losing a significant amount of money.
What's that number now?
How much we're losing? Close to $24,000 a year.
That's because we made it free.
Yeah.
Oh, we were losing how much before?
Well, they need a
We
park.
were losing about that before anyway.
No, we managed to where we were just about to break even. We were still losing money before, we were. And what's troubling is, over the last 3 years, the numbers for non-resident membership has dropped 75%. We kind of think that the kids are either forging identification or coming in under resident parents and getting it for free. That's what we're fearing. So we then did some research on other skate parks to see how they do it. There's, out of the three, two of the, we did Greenport, Southampton, and Brookhaven. Southampton does charge what we charged previously, $30 annually. Greenport and Brookhaven do not charge, but they don't staff their skate parks. There's good and bad to that. You don't staff it, people go for free, it's just like any other park. However, if you look at the Greenport facility, it's disgusting. They destroy it. So we take a chance. I'm on the board to make a decision, either we keep it the way it is, go back to charging, which is what my department should.
Can I ask you a question? Does your staff, but I'm assuming your staff doesn't know this, that if someone says they live on Pleasure Drive in Riverhead, that they know that that's Southampton town?
Yes.
Or any new streets that open up?
We
over
give
there?
them the
How do
street
they-
list.
How do they get that test? To say, do you
Well-
live in Riverhead or do you live in Southampton, even though everything, your ID, your mail, all says Riverhead?
Some of the problem, as far as the department, we have lists. We have the current list of the addresses of the town, so that's what they look. However, with the majority of the kids in the skate park are under 18, which is they don't have ID. they have student ID. So they come in with a Riverhead student ID,
Like,
thus
if
they're
you're
not always
at-
residents,
if you're
yeah.
at school district.
Or they come in with somebody's mom, and the mom says, well, they're
So the
with
revenue
us.
is there, it's just slipping through. Is there a way we can correct that?
Well,
You're
it's
saying the revenue-
hard because they don't have the actual identifications, and, you know, you're telling these, they're coming in with parents saying they're with me.
Is that the rink too, the big rink? No, it's just a skate
No,
park,
it's
skate
just
park.
skate park.
Because we're generating some revenue, aren't we?
At the rink we are. Yeah.
Now we are.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of people using
Not
it.
now, he said.
Every time I go past and it's
They
open,
can't use it.
there's a good crowd there.
There's
and
waters
they-
there.
We're gonna have ice skating next week, I'm telling you.
Well, it's conducting swim lessons out of the,
Hey, this is it.
no, I think it's gonna freeze over this week.
It's gonna, yes, this coming week.
So,
All right.
my staff and I recommend going back to charging the residents just a nominal $30 annual rate, or we continue in the path, or just not man it. So I didn't wanna.
Kind of agreeing, I'm thinking it's a good idea, George, weigh in on this.
Well, okay, it's.
And the kids are happy,
What about
George,
this
they're very
year?
happy what you did, and they're very grateful for what you did. Believe me.
Well, I say
they're
leave it
amazing.
alone if they're happy, you won't be happy next year.
Um,
Why don't we try like a nominal fee? Instead of going back to 30, like a 15?
All right.
And see how that works and come back next year with the numbers. I mean, I have a problem with any fee. What I see the board looks like you want to go to as a fee, so I'm saying let's come to
Well, because
15
there's
would be
control.
It's control, yeah, it's we're paying for
And I know
control.
what happened after we made it free, because I spoke to a lot of kids that wouldn't go there anymore, because there was people hanging around there who would never be there.
Well, the $15 fee, we'll see what happens next year. The 10 is gonna go down, they stop coming, then we know we've gotta go back to that, so I think that'll work.
All right,
15
so
works.
15 annual.
Does that work for the rest of the board?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the non-residents will go back to, well, let me just tell you what the non-residents are now. It's 100 annual for them, that's what we always charged. However, which I want to add this back. What we did take away was resident sessions and non-resident sessions, we didn't charge them.
Well, wait a minute, let's go back to the non-residents, because I consider Flanders our adopted hometown because it's part of the Riverhead School District. Do we consider Riverhead School District kids non-residents that live in Flanders?
I would, they do South
Well,
End.
here's our rule of thumb with that. If we have a school program where we operate through the school, like basketball, volleyball, we allow those kids in under the resident rate.
Yeah, it's a
But
school
if,
program.
but if it's not a school program, we charge them.
Okay, that's fine. So we're doing something, just not everything.
Yeah, yeah, because the school gives it to us, you know, we have a partnership with the school. I just like to go back to charging the non-residents the $5 session and $10 session fees. That's where a significant revenue came from. Because the kids that come in on the weekends were a lot of non-residents, and they would give, feeding us the $5 and $10 per
Not an
session.
annual, just that.
It's per session.
Instead of the $100 rate?
No, they can do either 100 annual or the $5
Or
or
$10.
$10.
Five, maybe, you don't need the other one, just come.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's just $10 per session. We used to charge the residents $5 a session if they didn't have an annual fee. So we'll keep that. Do you want to keep that? All right, let me read it to you again. Resident session, if they just come in for the day, they don't want the $15 annual, they just get charged $5 to use the skate park for the day. Non-residents gets charged $10 to use the skate park for the day. We took away both of that 2 years ago, so residents and non-residents were paying nothing for the sessions. Our recommendation was going back to the 5 and the 10.
Yeah, I think you see how we used to. We'll lose them on
Just,
But the residents, the idea was originally get these kids, nothing to do with the school, they come down here, so.
Correct.
For a resident, I would say,
catch
if you're
them.
gonna charge 15 or whatever, I would say maybe charge them $2, nominal fee.
Fine.
All right, so
So
we'll go
if you
$2.
if you give them $5.
That's fair, that's fair.
Anybody in
What about
Riverhead
the
is gonna be a part of
You
skate
want
park.
to pay non-residents 5?
There you go,
Non-residents
non-residents.
for the whole year.
Okay, good.
That's fair, okay.
Before you leave,
I have a
one question.
When he's done.
Okay, one question.
Sure.
The state, which now on, boat ramp,
Oh, yeah.
you have a
Boat ramp.
parking fee of $15.
Yeah. That wasn't our rule, that was the state's agreement. with
That's-
the town.
that's
Do you have
what
a
I
sticker
thought.
for that?
Yeah, it's a separate sticker.
Yeah, that's what I thought, that went back 20 years when the state
Yeah, it was
ran it.
before I came here.
Okay. I think that's a good idea, that we do charge non-residents, but it should be the state non-residents.
I saw that on the blog, yeah, what we'll just do is, we'll just put boat, South Jamesport boat ramp You wanna put non-resident fee on it?
Well,
we tell-
their sticker will get them in there.
Yeah, the resident stickers get them in, anyway.
Right.
We are under that law, we have to, anybody in New York State is allowed to use that boat ramp. So we
Right.
charge them the $15 to get into that parking lot, that's
Right.
not true. So that's what it's for. We clearly tell that, and people know that, we just on that, I saw how.
So they can
Nobody
buy
can
it.
even find it, do they have it at the,
Oh, we do a lot of it, we sell a lot of
where
it,
do they buy them though?
at the office.
So they have to come to the office?
Well, they could get it at the beach.
They can, yeah, that's
They
my
can get it at
question.
the beach,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so.
Because we don't, they're non-residents, so they just
Can we
have
put
to
a
give a New York State driver's
non-resident
license.
thing? Because it's confusing to a resident if he has to buy a parking fee. That's what I'm saying.
But they, if their sticker will get them in any park.
That's what I'm saying, but if you look at that regulation,
Okay, so you want me to just re-term it,
just say, yes.
non-resident,
My only
New
question
York
is,
State boat ramp?
have you done
Right,
something
yes.
different this year than you've been doing for the last 20 years?
No.
All right, Jody, did you have something you wanted to
Yeah,
ask?
Troy, what are the hours of operation?
For,
Skate
Well, we don't
park?
know them then.
it varies,
Because I hear from a lot of parents whose kids use the skate park,
Yeah.
that they wanna head up there sometimes after dinner, if they have dinner at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and they wanna skate until maybe 7:30, but the skate park's usually closed.
no, it's 2 to 10, but we close it several days a week based on the numbers. So for instance, this time around, we're closed Mondays and Tuesdays, because the numbers were very low over the course of a 5-year study.
Okay, so you are open until 10 on Wednesday,
2 to
Thursdays,
10,
and Fridays?
yeah, 2 to 10. Yeah, we used to break it in between, but now we just go straight through.
So it's
So,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, up until 10 o'clock in the evening, you're telling me?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. And then different times of the year, depending on the numbers, we'll close those 2 days.
Okay, recap the fees.
Okay. Okay.
Recap the fees, because some of the audience want it.
We're gonna go 15 annual for the resident, 15 annual and 100 annual for non-residents. Resident session will be $2, non-resident session will be $5.
Right, sounds good.
I'll put that in for the next town.
All righty.
Okay, one other thing, Ray.
Yeah.
We're gonna open the ice rink next week, we know.
Yes.
Whether our operation be open all day to a certain time, and maybe weekends, or just leave it open?
We weren't gonna man it, we're just gonna open it.
Just, it's
We're
open,
just
so
gonna
the
keep it
public
open
knows
all
that.
day.
So on weekends or Friday, Saturday night, should we keep the lights on?
Well,
Maybe a big deal.
you want me to, I can keep it linked into the skate park
Yeah, keep
hours?
it, yeah.
Or you want me to
Yeah.
man it?
I would,
I would make it
because it's only gonna be a 1 week, 2 week window.
The beauty of that is I can operate those lights from my house. So,
Okay.
you can operate it from your phone.
What else can you operate from? All these things we learned from Ray.
Isn't it amazing?
So next week.
That's why all the
So if you want me
ceiling
to turn
tiles
the
are
lights
down in the
Yeah, I
lower.
would
That's
say definitely,
right, yeah.
next week.
I gotta go down and look at
This-
this skate park.
So
Yeah,
next
we'll-
weekend, it'll
we'll
be lit
open
up on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah, we'll open it for the skate, we'll keep the skate park hours, we'll keep the lights on at the rink.
Yeah,
So,
I think
ready to
we're-
go.
All right. Can I get a motion for executive session?
No, not yet, Mr. Supervisor. I had asked that we put on for discussion on the work session agenda today, the FAA coming to EPCAL, and I've prepared some documents, and I would like to discuss that at work session.
That's fine. I asked Supervisor Tom Croce to call you. Did he call you?
No, we didn't, but I have these documents for the town board to look at, so we can go over this, please. Yes, I do have extra.
Well, let me start out by saying that, as I said, I was going to call Supervisor Tom Croce. I spoke to him yesterday. I gave him your cell phone number. I'm almost positive that he called you because he said he was going to immediately call you.
But he didn't, and I don't lie, so.
And this is this facility is the Tracon facility currently in Islip.
Mhm.
And I believe Supervisor Croce was happy that I called, that there was some, maybe some competition coming from Riverhead on this. His understanding was that we were all sort of unified as a region to support the Tracon facility at Islip. And my feeling, honestly, before we open this wide open for discussion, is that we would allow Islip to come here to talk to the board, because I think it's pretty important what this facility means to that airport.
And with this, that I have submitted, I have also submitted a newspaper article from the Examiner that is dated July of 2012. It has quotes in here from Congressman King saying that these jobs must stay on Long Island, from Congressman Israel that these jobs must stay on Long Island, and I spoke with Congressman Bishop, who also indicated that these jobs were to stay on Long Island. I know that the Brookhaven is putting a proposal in. I know that the private developer, Jan Berman, is putting a proposal in, and I know that the town of Southampton is putting a proposal in. And this newspaper article that I've attached also states and refers to on the second page, the facility going to the Calverton, the home of the Tomcat F-14 fighter facility in Calverton. It refers to the Pilgrim Psychiatric Center in Islip, and it refers to Mitchell Field in Nassau County. And I know that the Stewart Air Base has put in a proposal, and I know that they are also looking to go, they're looking to go to Albany, and they're also looking to go somewhere in the Hudson. The FAA has put an ad in the paper for the last 4 weeks stating that they are looking for a new facility. I have outlined all the advantages of bringing this type of facility to EPCAL, and a decision needs to be made by the board to get a proposal to Congressman Bishop by next Tuesday so that he can present this proposal to the commissioner of the FAA. So I would like to just go over the advantages of getting them here.
Can I just ask you a question?
Yes.
I know in this, you quoted this section in the paper, and it says options include Mitchell Field in Nassau County, the former Pilgrim Psychiatric Center in Islip, and the Calverton property that once was the home of the Tomcat F-14 fighter. Clearly, now this is what I'm talking about. Clearly, an audit of available property will demonstrate there are areas that could accommodate this facility the FAA is considering. By doing so, we will prevent the dislocation of funds of families and loss of jobs and relocation of families.
On the line.
That's a year old. Have they, did that audit? Did they do the audit?
They have done the audit, and that's why they have been putting the advertisements in the paper.
You've seen this
seeking-
audit?
Can you send us me the audit?
Yeah, where's the audit?
Okay. I will try and get a copy of the audit, but in speaking to Congressman Bishop yesterday, they have not made a decision where they are going. They were supposed to make a decision as of October, and then they were supposed to implement the plan before Christmas. That has not taken place. They are seeking proposals. The deadline is January 31st. I don't know, I just want to say, why not submit a proposal?
Well,
So that if it doesn't go in Islip, that it could possibly
No.
come to EPCAL for all these reasons.
I agree, but like you, who ask for different things before you make decisions,
Yep,
I would like to see the audit before I made a decision.
okay.
Okay, and just see
So-
what the federal government thinks of this project at EPCAL.
Okay, I don't know that I'll be able to get that for you by the time this decision has to be made and the proposal has to be put in, but I don't want to jeopardize losing these jobs off of Long Island, which is what this article refers to. You pointed out one aspect of this article
Well,
that
that's the
says
article
that
you quoted.
based on
You
an
quoted
audit.
that paragraph.
Okay, so let me quote other parts in this
Jody, can I just say one thing?
from Congressman King. Why not EPCAL? Why not try and get them here,
Yes,
even if
let me give you the why not, because we're a region, the town functions outside of the borders of this town. There are probably dozens of people that work at the TRACON facility in Iceland. When you approach this as a region and most towns have a very parochial view of themselves, and they want what they want, and I understand that, but it's time for the board to look at itself, especially when it considers what we're asking people to invest in EPCAL, from sewers to other things, federal and state money. It's time to look at us as a region, and my personal opinion, and it doesn't matter, I would have stood behind Phil Nolan, who was a Democrat, or Tom Croce, who's a Republican. My personal opinion is that Islip's application is stronger with Riverhead support than it is with Riverhead trying to steal that. And those are jobs that are in this town right now. And if every town tries to steal this from Islip,
they are.
the FAA,
Trying
no, they're
to steal
not
it
trying,
from
not
Islip.
FAA
Yes.
is trying to
I
steal
don't think the word is to steal it. The FAA is reaching out to them, let's say, come back to us. I mean, Brookhaven, according to you, Brookhaven's put an
Yeah.
application in.
That's what Congressman Bishop told me
And I
yesterday.
kind of
They're
wonder,
looking for a better deal.
we really had a facility here before. I mean, I would like to see maybe, why can't we lead? Why is Riverhead always gotta be supporting
Right.
somewhere else? I understand the regional thing, but I think it's time Riverhead
I
gets.
just only have two schools
Let
of
us
thought.
be.
My two school of thoughts are,
Now,
one,
why are they
I don't
leaving?
need to see an audit of available property, we have property, I'd rather they come here. But
Yes.
my only decision is why is the FAA trying to create this bidding, really?
Why are they leaving Iceland?
Why are they leaving Iceland? Are they trying to get more out of
That's-
Iceland? Are they trying to find a?
Something is
deal?
scaring
No,
out of
what-
Iceland,
what
because why
they're-
would they put
I
all
reached
this
out to
out?
Tom Cochi
Just
yesterday.
make them upstate.
What was explained to me yesterday is
That's what
that
I
there is a
understand.
facility in Westbury, there is a facility at Iceland, and they are trying to consolidate facilities and to expand onto them. So, I mean, Congressman Israel, who represents Iceland, is stated in here as saying, "I'm here to send a message to the FAA that it's common sense for the new integrated air traffic control system for New York's airports to be on Long Island."
Oh, we all agree with
So
that.
you
They're
We
already
all
on-
agree
they're
with
already
that,
on
there's
Long
no,
Island.
there's
I
no
don't-
problem with that.
They're already here, I just
But I
don't know why
think
they
what
want
they
to go
wanna
there.
do, Westbury handles Kennedy,
I guess I could talk to the
Newark.
FAA, I guess.
they handle the airports. Iceland transfers it to Westbury, Westbury handles and what they wanna
I
do
think the
is.
Tracon goes from like, it may be Virginia to Maine or something
Yeah.
like that.
So they want to
It's perfect for
get all these
Calverton,
people
though.
Of
together.
course it is.
It's perfect in Calverton.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it.
I think
We have
Iceland is
plenty
very
of land
tight
there.
as it is, they always go, you know, they can't expand there, I'm not saying this
I don't know if
facility.
that's true or not.
But the
You
thing
know,
is,
there
I
was
don't
no
know
runway
if
in
the
Spain,
FAA, I don't want to be their
something
power
like
broker to
read more.
slap Iceland.
They could expand.
These are all the
That's
reasons
why
why
you
I
would wanna
think that
have
we should
Iceland come.
submit a proposal. And I'm just asking for the board support because time is of the essence and we have to get this to Congressman Bishop by Tuesday. So, what
Why
is
do we
up?
always wait till the last minute?
Because I had spoken to the supervisor about this in mid-December, and then I had asked for it to be put on work session for us to discuss today. I wasn't aware that the deadline was January 31st, I thought it was mid-February, but Congressman Bishop asked
Actually,
me to
you
get this
asked
to
to have
him
a
by Tuesday.
resolution prepared. No, you asked my staff to have a resolution
Sean, I
prepared for
came
next
into your
Thursday.
office the middle of December and
You-
said the FAA is
You
pursuing
came to my office
alternative
and I told you
locations,
the
and
same
you said,
thing that
we're
I
not
just.
Right.
submitting it.
I
The
said
point
the
is-
same thing that
Why
I
not,
just said.
Sean?
It's
Why-
time sensitive, so
I
either
don't
we
think
move
we should
forward or
do
not, that's the
I
question.
just
It's-
explained to you, the same thing I just said to you now is what I said to you in December. If it, now the problem is, and you, what you did is you've asked for a resolution to be put on next week. That's what my staff relayed to me.
I said this
That's fine
Thursday
if you
for
want to put
discussion.
a resolution in, but the problem that you have now, if you had continued to do this in December, that's fine. You're a councilwoman, you can push projects forward. If you had continued in December, we would have had Supervisor Croce's staff, or maybe Supervisor Croce himself at the town board to explain what this means to Iceland, and that's really important. to me.
Well, to me, Riverhead residents are
Well,
important,
she
and
represents Riverhead, I
that's-
understand. You
the
think we-
decision-
Yeah, well, I think some Riverhead residents do work at Iceland.
and they can continue to
And they
work
can
here
continue to
instead of
work,
going
but
to
they
Iceland.
continue, but we're gonna transport
I don't
people
know
working
how-
in Westbury
I don't think it'd be that.
out to
much.
here, all right?
Which will help our
So, I
housing
mean-
market, which is also one of the
No, no, but I'm
advantages, because
saying-
maybe they'll move here.
I'm saying this is a regional thing. We do have residents that work for and are retired from there. So we do have residents, so this is not bringing something so residents can start working.
So you're
We
against
do
it,
work.
John?
I'm not against it.
Okay, but we need to make a decision
Well,
today
well,
as to the
so you-
location
you haven't-
and what the lease, the terms of the proposal are.
Right, you
Because
haven't
I would
given us
say-
any facts,
I would
Julie.
say lease it to them for $1 a year for 50 years and let them bring the 850 jobs here. They'll connect to the sewer, which will provide us grant opportunities to build on our infrastructure. It's ready to go. They don't need a subdivision. They don't need zoning. They don't need New York State DEC. And that is modeled by the incubator that was able to comply with all the regulations and have a successful incubator there that provided a handful of jobs. Town of Riverhead does not need to spend any money. The FAA has a budget for this facility to be built somewhere. I don't want it to leave Long Island. It's 850,
Facing all of this,
can I just finish? It's 850 high-paying jobs. We gave property to the state, which created a handful of jobs, and this could be so much more. In this article, it talks about jobs starting at $100,000 a year. This is an anchor facility that could be expanded on using the model of Stony Brook Incubator. It would be a successful partnership with the federal government, opening doors for future development and jobs. It would create secondary industries. It would create secondary spending for the hotels and the restaurants. Riverhead residents would gain with jobs and pilot payments in lieu of taxes. It would help with our housing market if the people from Westbury or Islip decided to move here and spend with their $100,000
Charlie, you
salary.
don't have to read this to us.
Sean,
We
I
don't-
spent the time in
She
typing it
wants to
up,
let her
and I
read
would
it.
like to continue
It's
to
a
read it.
presentation.
Okay, so the town of Riverhead would be eligible for grants because this is a shovel-ready project. The property is desirable because housing right now in Riverhead is less expensive than elsewhere on Long Island. The quality of life is better in Riverhead. It has frontage on State Route 25, it has sewers. The use is consistent with the reuse plan with light industrial jobs. Riverhead has a history with this use. It could be a magnet for aviation schools in line with the reuse plan. We could get what others want that has been coveted by other municipalities and private property owners. The commute time to EPCAL is desirable with employment base growing on the east end and a reverse commute to Calverton. FAA at EPCAL creates more valuable, logical progression to industry and jobs at EPCAL. And it would be a regional draw.
So you're looking that it would locate next to the incubator?
Yes.
That quadrant up there.
That's where I would like to see it go. But if the board had a different location on EPCAL, or if they wanted to go somewhere else on the site, I think that we could entertain that. But I think that we should submit the proposal and
Okay, who's
at
writing the
least,
proposal?
well, I asked you to direct the CDA director to put the
Who's
proposal
writing the
together.
proposal?
I don't have control over the staff, Mr. Supervisor. We gave you all the administrative responsibilities. You would have to
Okay.
direct someone,
Okay.
which is why I
Well,
wanted
okay,
the board to make a
okay.
decision.
So we'll have Chris Kempton put the proposal together for Tuesday. That's
Thank you.
fine. I see all this stuff, it looks like everything is based on this one article here.
Well, there are some, you know what, on first blush, absolutely. You say, oh, that they can come here, they create jobs, $1 a year, and all that stuff, I understand all of that, and it makes all the sense in the world. The only thing that really rubs me is sometimes we come at the tail end of a negotiation. I see health insurance companies do this with hospitals. It might be a power play between FAA and ISLIB, and I don't know what's going on. So I really like,
Matter?
I'm willing to accommodate the FAA as long as.
It does matter.
They set a deadline, it's
It
certain
does
they can
matter.
get it in by then.
It's a matter of
Okay,
principle.
well, the supervisor stood at a press conference last spring and said that it belongs at Iceland, okay? So we didn't know about that, and we didn't know about it until I saw it in the newspaper 4 weeks ago, which I did discuss with council members
No,
and,
not-
and
Charlie,
the supervisor.
The supervisor and every single practically elected official from supervisor up, from the congressman in this, the two congressmen in this article, to Mark Lesko, to the county executive, all unanimously said, fight to keep the Tracon at Iceland.
I haven't seen that. I've seen fight to keep it on Long Island.
And the bottom line is, your entire proposal, nearest I can figure, is based on this two-page article here.
No, it's
Because
based
I
on
don't-
discussions with the
I
New
don't
York State
see-
Economic Development
But I don't
Office.
see any of that data. And what I'm afraid of is exactly what I said, that the region, that we're not gonna function like a region, as so often Long Island doesn't, because we're so fragmented, that it goes away someplace else
I've
where
been
other
told-
people.
I've been
And
told
I
that the two
think-
hot spots that they're looking at are
Okay.
Hudson and Albany.
What
That's
gets-
the two hot
what gets
spots that
me
they're looking at right
Is
now.
that when the rest of us council people bring something up, you don't believe us and you want paperwork to back
You know
everything
what,
we
John,
say up.
this is good for
So
Riverhead,
this is what
so
I'm
why
saying,
not?
is saying, paperwork is great because we can look at it and read it.
John, you don't have to go along with it, you can
you know,
take your time and do
I
your
mean-
homework, I encourage you to do so.
But this should have been
I
brought up
reached out to Tom
last
Croce
year,
yesterday on my own.
and, because this article was written
Let her-
July
John,
of 12.
Let her work on the proposal,
Not the
it's
last
not,
minute.
it's not a problem, let her work on the proposal, and it doesn't need to get to Congressman Bishop until Tuesday, you have plenty of time from now until then to do your homework.
I want you to
Absolutely.
give me the paperwork.
No, I encourage you to do your own
It's
research.
time sensitive, it's
I'm
gonna
not
have
gonna
to
do my own research. You did the research. Why do we
John,
have to
why
do this?
not
Why don't
try
you just
and-
give me the information so I can look at your information?
Why not
That's
try
all I'm
it?
asking.
Why not try it? I'll say it for the last time, because we should be looking at ourselves as a region, not just, give me this, I'm stealing this, I want this,
Okay,
because
then.
our
Stealing, there's
jobs
that word again.
are in, our people, our residents work at that facility.
And they will continue to work at that facility,
Maybe, maybe
closer to
not.
home.
Maybe, maybe not. So I will
Yeah,
have
but-
Chris Kempner, if that's the will of the board.
I would rather
we'll have
do
Chris
that
Kempner.
than have our residents have to move to Hudson or to Albany to keep their
I
jobs.
agree with
Something-
that. And I
Of course, I mean,
And I
that's
agree
an
to
obvious
submit
statement.
something, but we're submitting it, like Councilman Wooten said, we're always submitting at the tail end and not at the beginning.
Well, there was no awareness here until about a month ago,
Right.
on our part, I don't know if it was on your part,
It was,
But
it
then-
was all over the papers a year ago.
on the
It
application
was all
that it
over
was
the
for sale.
papers a year ago.
But if Brookhaven is putting an application, East Hampton is putting an application.
Southampton.
Southampton?
And Jan Berman for the 95 acres at EPCAL. So why not Riverhead
Well,
residents
what's the
benefit
difference?
from
Something is
that?
wrong with
But it
Islip
would
if
be,
they're
Jan
looking to move
Berman's
out,
putting in,
something.
but wait a minute. If Jan Berman's putting an application in, it's been done.
No, Sean, I want it for Riverhead residents, not for Jan Berman.
Jan Berman has 95 acres in EPCAL at Riverhead.
Yes, and if
So
they,
if he builds it on the 95 acres at EPCAL in
so you're
Riverhead,
not concerned about the tax
It
base,
is.
because I want the pilot payments.
if Jan Berman builds the facility in Riverhead, it's for Riverhead residents.
So again, you're not concerned about the tax base, because he would be benefiting from that,
The
not the
federal
Riverhead
government
residents.
doesn't have to make pilot payments.
That's all I was gonna ask you, does Stony Brook make
No.
pilot payments?
That would be
So
in
So
the
we're looking for the
proposal.
dollars, I thought you were looking more for the
If the
bigger.
state doesn't make
Return.
pilot payments to it,
Well-
how can we force the federal government to make it?
I think that
You
it would
can't.
be, we can ask them to, for $1 a year for a
Well, I
50-year lease.
understand the repair roads, and that's what they
Berman's
don't have to.
proposal may be, give me $20 million, maybe they don't wanna give him $20 million, we don't know what his proposal is. If we say $1 a year for 50 years and give us pilot payments to the tune of $1 million a year, they might do that, instead of giving him $50 million up front.
And this is for
For the
air traffic
property.
controllers,
Yes.
so they can tell you where to go fly your kite.
And your plane.
Yeah, right.
I just,
Hey, you know what, if
We'll have-
people are putting in for, we'd be foolish not to.
We'll be
Yes.
foolish not
Shame on
to,
us
I
if it goes on
just think
stakers,
it's
probably.
a little late to start working on this
I
now.
don't think it's.
John, I can give
That's all
him,
I'm saying, that's all I'm
he
saying.
told me that I could give him something as just like this one-page document that I prepared for you today, he said I could give him something like this as to what the advantages of coming to EPCAL are and what our term
That's
would
exactly
be.
what we're doing.
So if we wanted to do it for $1 a year for 50 years, that's what we need answers on to give to Chris Kempner so that she can put this together. Does everybody agree that it should be $1 a year for 50 years with pilot payments?
No,
$1.50.
because I have no facts to base it on. What I have is you, Jody, what you did is you took a article from theexaminer.com and you wrote very conclusory statements based on this article.
What
I have no
conclusory statements,
facts.
Sean? You're telling
I
me
have
that the
no
advantages of
facts.
bringing here are not advantages?
Well, Riverhead residents would gain with jobs, that I would agree with. You do gain with pilot payments, that I don't agree with. I don't know that they're paying for sewers. I don't know whether they're gonna build an aviation school with this.
No, I'm saying that could be one of the
No, did you
costs.
call Islip to find out that
I don't know if
pilot
it's even
payments up
800
there?
jobs.
I don't, in my business world, I don't pull competitors to say, what are you
That's
doing?
why you probably do.
I just
No,
try
but
and
you're a
get it.
council person trying to get something approved,
Yes.
which I would vote for, but that has nothing to do with your business world. If you quote town of Islip and say the town of Islip, does FAA at Islip MacArthur Airport give you pilot payments? The tax assessor, that's all that has to be
They're
done.
looking for a new
They
deal.
I'm just
pay
asking you
the
a
ad
question.
valorem they pay the ad valorem taxes, I
They're-
believe they.
They're looking for a
don't
new
pay
deal.
sewer.
They're looking for new proposals. They're looking for new ideas. They're looking for a new place to go. So I think, why not EPCAL?
Or maybe they're just trying to turn the screws to the town of Islip to get a better deal.
So,
That's
it's
what
a,
they
it's
do.
a
We don't
free
know.
market.
We don't know what they're.
The reason is something, and I know he's thought my head, I said, it's very.
The food study's gonna put in, there's a reason for everything.
There's a
Maybe
reason,
it's
why
about
isn't
expanding,
Westbury
never-
against this? I don't understand. We haven't heard a thing from Westbury. Huh?
No, I think they have more property.
It's on the side, they can't use it.
We all agree that this would be good for Riverhead. If they decide to leave
I
Islip,
all
Islip
agree.
may make them a better deal and they
All
may
right, so I
stay
think-
there.
Well,
Probably
how,
have
you can't make
consensus.
an argument against you.
I will tell Chris
Chris
Kemp to
Kemp
prepare
will
an
move forward,
application.
and thank you for your
I will
presentation.
prepare.
Thank
Your effort, we want to thank you, really.
Thank you.
You did a good job, I mean, you know, you did your work on it, so. So,
Well, I'm,
all right.
need a
Motion to
motion to
executive
go into
session.
executive session.
So moved.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Now, why are we going to executive session?
It's on there. It's right on there, we put it back on
Youth,
the
rural
thing.
sanitation and highway.
Sanitation, highway.
Okay. Just so we know.
It's like a deaconry board meeting, isn't it?
Nah.